What's up, everybody out there in YouTube land? Wrath251 here, and I got something interesting for Wrathtober. Okay, somebody actually gave me that idea, so that's just awesome. They said, welcome to Wrathtober. Alright, so this is pretty cool. This is an SCP reading. This is by a YouTuber called The Rubber. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's a weird name, dude. Okay, that's just kind of screwed up. Anyway, I haven't done any of his stuff before, but he's doing a reading on SCP-610, The Flesh That Hates. This is, to me, this is like the creepiest damn SCP entry, like, ever. I believe I did a reaction to another reading done by somebody else, and that reading was like 40-something minutes, almost an hour long. Alright, but this one's like a part 1, if I recall. And let's see what he's got here. Alright, so let's go.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Violence
As D2
action.
spasms on the ground, his entire body being overtaken by the 610 flesh, almost entirely after 45 seconds. D2 is terminated by a gunshot from D1, but that did not stop the spread of SCP-610. Hello everybody, I'm The Rubber.
Yeah,
Today,
that's his
we bring you
character.
SCP Foundation
The
Computer
Rubber.
Class Object
Yeah, he's a researcher.
SCP-610.
Subscribe and ring that bell.
First, let me
I like how he
introduce
does that
my
very
buddy
subtly. Very
from
cool.
SCP Animated, Tales from the Foundation.
Hi everybody, I'm Dr. K. SCP-610, also known as the Flesh That Hates, appears to be a contagious skin disease, with symptoms including rash, itching, and increased skin sensitivity.
Gross.
Within 3 hours, the disease will cause blemishes, resembling heavy scar tissue to form in the chest and arm areas. Within an additional hour, it will spread to the legs and back, and consuming the victim completely within 5 hours.
Ugh.
Exposure to higher temperatures will vastly decrease the time for the contagion to spread, and complete infections have been recorded occurring in as little as 5 minutes.
I think he
Thanks,
means
buddy.
increase, not
After
decrease.
the completion of the infection, the victim's life functions will cease for approximately 3 minutes. After that, they will restart at 2 to 3 times the activity rate of a normal human.
Damn.
Following this, the scar tissue on the victims will start to move and grow at a rapid rate. Normal human features start to disappear at this point. In the past,
Looks like something out of
mutation
Resident
appears to be
Evil,
largely
man.
random. Victims observed in this stage have
Yeah,
been
definitely
reported as
Resident
growing
Evil.
3 or more limbs like arms or legs. The
Was
head
that
may
that
become
William
misshapen
Birkin from
and
Resident Evil
elongate
2,
or
man?
widen out. And parts of the subject may split open from which additional branches of flesh will grow. But the weird thing is, not all subjects appear to progress to the same stage. There are 2 types of infected victims. One of
Ugh.
them will cease moving and place itself in a location and roots itself like a plant. The fleshy growth on the victim will then begin to spread itself across all surrounding objects and consume them. However, this type of infection does not infect living creatures. The other kind of infected victims
That's
will
nasty.
immediately seek out aid as natural human impulse, resulting in unintended infection. And those who have lost their human form through the scar tissue phase will actively and aggressively attempt to infect
Yeah.
anyone approaching them within an undefined area. If the infected has lost the ability of sight, a range of approximately 30 meters is considered safe. Initial reports of 610 came
That's
directly
awesome.
from the Russian government, after reports consisted primarily of disappearances of farmers in the region, followed by the local police, regional police, and a government dispatched agent all failed to report within a
Oh,
72-hour period. A small military contingent was dispatched to the area and quickly withdrew, at which point the Foundation was contacted to investigate. The area SCP-610 affects are close to Lake Baikal in southern Siberia. Areas of known infection are marked on this map. Due to the vast area of infection 610 covers, containment is impossible. Isolation of the area has proved far more effective, and permission has been granted by the Russian government to establish a perimeter to keep people out of these areas. Any living thing coming in physical contact with an organism infected with 610 is considered expendable and
I'm
is to
gonna
be
touch it.
immediately terminated and incinerated.
Oh, shit.
Anyone coming within 3 meters of 610 infected life is to immediately withdraw from the area, be isolated from the rest of their team, and subjected to medical examination and observations. Observation of life infected by SCP-610 by staff is impossible. Hence, observations could only be done by using artificial methods, such as remote robots. The data returned from these observations, coupled with the
Why is he
overly
holding him
aggressive
like that?
nature of the infected to attempt to spread, SCP-610 has resulted in the Keter classification.
No shit.
However, so long as nothing is allowed to enter or leave the infected areas, it is considered a neutralized threat. But after the cavernous areas beneath the infected settlements were discovered during the exploration, the Foundation sent in research personnel for further investigation. There is a total of 5 field exploration logs for both the remote robot and also the human expeditions. The first exploration was done by a small camera-mounted unit known as Herbie. Herbie was dispatched at a safe distance and directed toward a part of an infected small village, hereafter referred to as Site A. Many of the homes appear to have suffered fire damage, but a fair amount of buildings are still intact.
Tried to burn it all away.
Through the camera feed, it seems that an estimated population of 79 were infected. Immobile infected are included in this number. However, it is difficult to ascertain an exact percentage of mobile versus immobile. After observing the exterior of the village for 2 hours, Herbie was directed to follow an infected known as Alpha as it entered a home. The home contains multiple visible infected organisms.
There's actually a picture of this
and
scene
Herbie's
too.
camera was raised slowly as to not draw attention. Alpha walks around its home multiple times before stopping at another infected, hereafter known as Beta, sitting on a bed. Beta is unable to leave the bed for unknown reasons, but is not completely immobile, as it flails its arms in response to the beatings delivered by Alpha. Moments later, a piercing sound explodes from the area around Beta, who then proceeds to project a cloud of unknown matter into the air from its chest cavity. Alpha lingers in the cloud as it floats in the air around them, slowly descending to the ground.
That's nasty.
The
He was literally
life form
beating
on the
his
table
meat.
beside Beta begins to twitch in an apparent seizure. And Alpha then laps the room twice more, stopping at each infected organism, but now ignoring Beta. Then Alpha seats itself at the table, reaches out for 3 plates and set it on the table. After the plates are positioned, the facial tendrils extending from Alpha wiggle up and start to coil on each plate, before tearing apart and separating. Alpha then leaves the house. Several minutes later, a group of 6 to 7 infected enter the home. These infected all surround the table, and each takes turn consuming the flesh substance left behind by Alpha, pressing it into whatever orifices on their bodies, some under their arms, some into mouths, some into the chest, some behind their backs.
Oh, God.
Herbie remains here for several more minutes before retracting its
body horror
camera
shit
and
right
leaving.
there, man. The
Herbie is then
thing couldn't be
directed
more
to
disgusting
explore
than
a
this.
store. Here he finds more infected individuals. A Russian soldier who doesn't seem to be moving, but his eyes are in constant movement, often focusing on Herbie. In a storage area, a large pile of bodies are stacked together. Some pieces of clothing are visible and appear to contain both military garb and everyday clothing. Atop the bodies, an infected sits, appearing to have its lower parts fused to the pile, and with its upper half in a wild state of flailing and seizure. Approximately every 10 seconds, a burst of spores flies out the top of this infected, which linger in the air. Herbie then leaves the store and passes by the village well, surrounding which are a series of immobile infected, all facing the well. The arms of each of these infected individuals are stretched out, one in contact with the next, forming a perfect chain. Suddenly, an infected young girl grabs and stares at Herbie. Its face balloons in size and explodes outward into a series of fleshy flaps that grip Herbie and draw it inside of her. Herbie's video feed terminates here. 5 hours later, Herbie's video feed resumed. Herbie's camera pointed at the village well, with a slimy film which often oozes across the lens. Herbie does not respond to any remote command, but its video jerks back and forth from target to target, zooming in and out of its own accord. Video feed is cut manually, and all connections to Herbie's unit are ordered erased.
Just in case, that's smart.
The second exploration on SCP-610 happened during construction of the perimeter surrounding SCP-610's containment area. Several Class D personnel were infected. Most of these infected personnel were immediately destroyed with flamethrowers, but a small collection of infected were contained in cold storage units to prolong the progression of infection. In hopes of finding out more information on the origin point of 610, the Foundation sent 3 infected personnel,
they look in remarkably good spirits.
D2, and
the fact
D3,
they're all gonna
into
die a
Site
horrible
C,
death.
with a single video system. Site C is in the same infected village with the Site A mentioned earlier, but different spot. The 3 infected personnel were given 9mm pistols, gasoline, emergency flares, and some food. They were also instructed to observe and avoid interaction with the infected villagers. But if they're attacked by the infected villagers, they're allowed to do as much damage to the site as possible while maintaining video feed. As D1, D2, and D3 enter the site, there is a noticeable rise in the temperature, which requires a further shedding of garments. One of them immediately noticed a large number of immobile pylons arrayed around the site, separated by an apparent distance of 5 to 6 meters. Each pylon appears to be 2 to 4 infected persons, fused together in one spot. Heat vents out of these pylons, and current belief is that this is an advanced stage of SCP-610, terraforming its environment to facilitate spread of itself.
That's definitely a bad thing. Might want to burn that shit.
D2 begins to seizure after only a few minutes in Site C. The progression to the scar tissue phase of 610 infection is observed in full course, as D2 spasms on the ground, his entire body being overtaken by the sickly tan flesh, almost entirely after 45 seconds.
Oh, jeez.
D2 is terminated by a gunshot from D1. But that did not stop the spread of 610. The spread continues even after death of the body, until all movement ceases. As perimeter control is relaying new instructions to D1 and D3, video feed shows a flesh-like growth splitting open beneath D2's body, and a series of ropey tendrils coming from within the gap to pull his corpse inside. This opening closes quickly. Total time elapsed 3 seconds.
3 seconds?
D1 and D3 quickly proceed to the village center and encounter a
this would be a
suspended by angled
horror
supports,
movie.
comprised of both infected humans and a few specimens of non-human life forms such as deer and bears. The entire sphere of flesh pulses at roughly a 5-second interval, and with each pulse emits a ring of spore-like material from its equator. This material floats to the ground and appears to be absorbed into the converted environment.
It just goes poof.
D3 begins to douse the sphere with the provided gasoline, and a lit emergency flare is applied to it, which immediately goes up in flames. The remote feed plays back an explosive and creature roaring noise from an unknown location that seems to come from a location far outside of Site C, but was reported as being heard even at perimeter control by both Sites C and A. Within 15 seconds following the sound's dissipation, Site A reported that a series of explosions had occurred within the village. 5 seconds after this report, the spherical mass in the middle of Site C explodes, and both D1 and D3 are thrown by the blast.
Yeah, stand next to it,
D3 dies
dumbass.
instantly, but D1 manages to stand back up. D1's video equipment falls to the ground and was recording in a skyward direction. The last moments of footage from D1's video unit display a humanoid figure unknown creature, steps upon the recording video equipment and destroys it. Perimeter control remained on high alert for a full 24 hours at all locations, without any incident following this event. The destruction caused by the second exploration resulted in a series of unexpected events in Site A. That being said, there's still more to add to the story that indicates the danger and horror of SCP-610.
This is like the creepiest
but we will explore
MSCP
the rest of it in Part 2. So, stay tuned.
Part 2.
Before we end this video, we are proud to present these incredibly sweet pieces of fan art. A big thank you to all of you.
Oh, dude, they even do the Garfield thing.
And we will be more than happy to show
Minecraft. Oh my God,
in our next
682.
video. Check out our description below on how to submit.
Those are
If you
cool.
enjoyed today's video, which SCP do you want to see in the next video and why it is interesting? Let us know in the comments
name though,
below.
the Rubber.
We will draw your story
hell,
and
man?
share it with the world. Don't forget
I'm
to
the
click
Rubber.
like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. Please share it to your friends if you like this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so that was our first look at the Rubber, and I decided to go with this one, the Flesh That Hates, especially for Wrathtober, because that is the creepiest fuck SCP. That is the creepiest damn SCP that ever existed. That thing terrifies me. Anyway, though, I do hope you guys got a little bit of a scare out of that. I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Of course, click on the link to the original down description. Get down to the Rubber's channel and give him a like on the original video and subscribe to him. As for me, I haven't yet, so boom, subscription from me, the Rubber. He's got 800K subs, getting close to 1 million. So I'll see you guys next time. Tune in every day for new content. Bye-bye.